Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Fashion DIY channel. So today we're going to be making this beautiful simple note bag. So to start off, these are the fabrics that I had. I had my plain fabric, which I use for the lining, but you can actually use a printed fabric if you wish. Then I also had my printed fabric. This is the fabric that I chose for this project. This beautiful Kente print fabric. So those were the dimensions for those were the measurements of the fabric. The fabric was just folded in half. So the first thing that I did was to fold the fabric in half. Then I folded the fabric again in half. And then I now went on to the top, the part which is folded. And then I marked 7 centimeters from the folded edge. And then I went down and then I marked 20 centimeters going down, and then I just drew a line there. Then I drew another line going up like that. So I just had to quickly extend that other line. And then so I now went on to now draw sort of like a curve. You can use your curve ruler or you can just eyeball it. So notice that I'm cutting, the side where I'm cutting is the folded side. Then I now opened my little fabric. And then I took my ruler again and then I marked 10 centimeters on one side going down. And then I drew a line. And then I now went on to cut that away. So at that point, we basically have our shape or the pattern for our note bag. So at that point, I had the shape that I wanted for my note bag. So you can go ahead and then mark your printed fabric and cut the same way that I did the other fabric, or you can just open that fabric and then you can just go ahead and use it as sort of like a pattern, and then you can pin them together and trace it and then cut out the pattern. I just found this way to be much faster for me, but honestly you can just do it any way that you prefer to do it. So after cutting, I now had my 2 fabric pieces. And then I folded that other fabric back the way that it was. And then I pinned on that edge, and then I also pinned right at the bottom and on the sides. Then I took my ruler to just mark where I was going to end my stitching. Then I did the same thing on the printed fabric. I was just showing you where you need to stitch. So that is the parts where I stitched. I also stitched at the top of that other handle on the other side. So there I had stitched my fabric, And then I now went on to the corners, and then I would fold my little fabrics into little corners like that, and then I would fold the bag into like a little corner like that, and then I would mark about 2.5 centimeters, draw a line, which I would now go ahead and stitch. I did this for both corners, and I also did this for the printed outer fabric. After stitching, I just went on to trim the excess off on both sides. I also did the same thing for the outer fabric. At this point, I turned inside out one fabric. So I think at this point we can now start to call it a bag. Now I have an outer bag and the lining. Then I turned the printed one inside out. You need to turn at least one of them inside out, and then insert it into the other one. And then I started to line up all the seams and just pin. And then I now went on to the curved part in the middle. Then I started to just align it with the one which was inside and just put pins just going right round. I did this on both sides, and then I went on to stitch it on the sewing machine. After stitching, I now went on to turn everything inside out and reinsert the lining inside. Then I took my iron and I just started to iron out those seams. Then, so after ironing the curved middle part, I now went on to the sides. So what I was doing there was that I would fold in the edges of the outer fabric, also fold in the edges of the inner fabric, making sure that the right sides are facing inside, and then I would pin. And then I stitch. And then I would stitch. I also did the same thing for the other shorter side. And at that point, I was basically done. I'm pretty sure that there's like so many other ways that you can make, that one can make this particular kind of bag. This is just the way that was easy for me. But if you have suggestions on how you can make this easier and quicker, I would really appreciate it if you comment down below in the comments and just give us some tips or hacks on how. Thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you come back again for more fashion DIYs. Bye.